Morning, welcome back to A Man in a Sea of Lies. And this kind of supplementary to my previous video. Uh, and, you can focus on many pundits and politicians uh, when it comes to our current trouble with the US when it comes to trade negotiations. But I want to focus on Doug Ford today. Well, Douglas, you can go back with Douglas. His actions during the pandemic, his recent aircraft purchase, it's a total flop politically, and now he's sealing cabinet records. Um, uh, and in the meantime, you know, our auto sector has been declining. Our car manufacturing has been declining rapidly. I mean, rapidly. We used to build almost 3 million cars in southern Ontario, and they were mostly exported to the US. Now we're down to 1 million and going down. And of course, the necessity for the last election he called, these are all political actions that speak volumes about Doug Ford. Uh, but to a point, they were effective because many of these things are supported by Ontarians and Canadians in general. So he knows he's doing well politically with his behavior. But let's focus on the way he's dealing with the United States of America now during these negotiations. Yeah, it started as soon as Donald Trump got elected, right? He continued slamming Donald Trump in his frequent speeches. And he uh, bought this commercial that was slamming the U.S. administration and Donald Trump, and aired those commercials in the United States to I guess to anger Americans, or not sure. And now in various appearances and speeches, he continues to claim that the Americans are losing tens of billions of dollars of business because Canadians are not going to Las Vegas and Florida anymore. Well, Canadians are still going. I don't know about Las Vegas. Nobody's going to Las Vegas these days, but I'm sure people are still going to Florida to their properties that they have there, Canadians. So he claims that they started this tariff war. Well, technically yes, but there was a consequence of other things. Mainly the fact that we enjoyed large surpluses with the states for decades. Car manufacturing, softwood lumber, and now he continues his actions. Barring alcohol from the shelves of LCBO. And now he announced that the government procurement programs, they're not going to consider proposals from U.S. companies. And all his frequent speeches, it's all about being anti-American and aggressively so. And he appeals on American media all the time. And I don't know what he's thinking really. Like, he claims that they're bullies. Yeah, in a sense, maybe they are a bit, but his behavior indicates that he's the the bully, and not only when it comes to the dealings with the U.S., but overall, he's perceived as a bully on many issues. He is. He fights dirty. So he's doing it for a reason. I think he sees what this uh, political capital gained by being anti-American. What it did to Mark Carney and his election success, which was solely based on dealing with Donald Trump. So I think Dark Ford is creating an image for his federal ambitions, and he's doing it because it works for Canadians. But such a stance, like what exactly do? What kind of message are we sending to the Americans that in the barrage of comments in the media and from our politicians slamming the US and President Donald Trump constantly? So I'm not sure what's the outcome supposed to be here. Are they like we're gonna soften them up or something? By slamming them, spitting in their face all the time. We're gonna soften them up, and they're gonna go, "Oh, we're sorry. You're great Canadians. We did you so much harm. We'll roll back all the tariffs and all that stuff." I don't think that's gonna happen. I think what's going to happen it's going to make it much more difficult, and then American negotiations publicly indicated that there are no adults left in Canada when it comes to dealing with the trade issues, and I agree. I agree. This kind of loud rhetoric, and messaging constantly from our media, from our politicians. How does that set us up for negotiating a fair deal? There are many issues on both sides, of course, and I am all for negotiating a fair deal with the Americans. But we got to keep in mind that we enjoyed protectionism here in Canada for decades now, and large surpluses as well. And I don't blame President Trump from being kind of wary of that, right? But we think we're so special, then we can continue to belittle and disparage the Americans, and at the same time force them to negotiate a fair deal for us. So to me, it's children in fog, or it's kids playing in a sandbox. It's crazy. Even if you're thinking that way, even if you agree with whatever our politicians and the media say, this is not the time to bring it up right like as a number one discussion point. No, I'm not saying that we should sit quietly and just take whatever the Americans give us, but surely this will anger the American team, negotiating team, and the president as well. I don't see any other outcome. So we're painting ourselves into a corner with this, and the two main culprits are Douglas and Carney. And they're doing it because that's what Canadians want. So they're doing it to increase their political influence and political power. And what benefits Canada as far as Canadian economy and our incomes and stuff like that. That's kind of not important all of a sudden at this point. So this is not good, and I wish they would just shut up for a minute and let the negotiating teams do their jobs. And stop slamming Donald Trump all the time. I mean, it's gotten to the point now that you can talk about something totally unrelated, but people bring Donald Trump into the conversation anyway. They could be talking about what kind of cosmetics are being sold at Shoppers Drug Mart and how much they cost. and somehow they'll find a way to bring Donald Trump into the conversation. So we're so immersed here in Canada in our anti-Americanism, and it's been growing over the last few decades as I've been observing our relationships. And now it's got a huge boost with Donald Trump being elected for the second time, because we just can't wrap our heads around Donald Trump. You can hate Donald Trump all you want, but I keep repeating that he's gonna go away eventually, and then what? These agreements that are gonna be put together now, they're gonna stay in place for a long time. What are you gonna renegotiate our trade agreement after every election in the U.S. after every midterm? Or it's impossible. So we're behaving like children as a nation. And our politicians, pundits, and our media are just responding to that. We knee-jerk react to everything. It's all emotions, no rational thinking. It's like nothing happened the last 30 years. It's all just started yesterday, right? But it didn't. It didn't. Our quality of life is going down. Our income is stagnating. Americans are growing. We're not growing at all. I won't get into our resources and carbon taxes and stuff like that. It's all crazy stuff. But here we're just going to stick to those negotiations. So yeah, I don't think it's a smart idea to be like that at this time. So I wish they would come to their senses and just put it on pause for for a few months until we get it sorted out, and they can, after that, they can go out and keep slamming Donald Trump all day long for all I care. This media stuff and Donald Trump, it's to the point now when people are talking about the subject, or I read a piece about something, and it's something totally unrelated even to politics, and people are all of a sudden bringing up Donald Trump, I just stop. And every channel on television or on YouTube that I watch, if somebody brings Donald Trump out of nowhere into the conversation for no particular reason, I just stop and unsubscribe. But it's hard because everybody's doing it in Canada. So we're in some sort of a collective psychosis, I think. That's my diagnosis, Dr. Derek's. So long.